longer on the air. But this is the 16th, so let Nancy know if you want to be on there. Next month, I want to get you ahead of the curve and tell you next month when we do our fourth Thursday, we're going to have Angelica from UF IFAS, and she's going to talk about mental health and well-being in our Knowledge College. And then we have another friend from ARP. Her name is Janine Mullenhard, and she's going to come and do a Tai Chi seated session. Now, we had the privilege of doing this at an ARP meeting, a chapter meeting down in Palm Bay. Really is fascinating. She's a nurse retired nurse by, I guess, professional standards, but she really does a great job. And that was a fun session, wasn't it, when we did that down there? And then lastly, the last announcement I want to get to before we officially start is Senior Planet. We're working together with Senior Planet, ARP, and the Scam Jam AI edition is happening August the 7th, and we're going to meet at Zon Beachside. Again, that was standing room only last time, so it's going to be an RSVP story. It's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on that August the 7th. And so I hope that we will see you guys there. We'll be talking about it more as we go along. So, oh, and don't forget the car raffle, and don't forget the cruise. So let me get down here so that we can begin this. If you're tuning into us on YouTube and you've discovered that we're doing YouTube Live, this is exciting for us. We always record this information because we always know we'll have a number of folks who join us in the room, and we're so grateful for folks being here. But we always talked about this, even from the day that Joe Steckler started this organization. We know there's people who live, we always go in, this is such a strange county. From Micco to Mims is like 72 miles. So there's people like in the north end of the county, Titusville, who are just not going to drive in to Melbourne for an event, or people maybe down in Barefoot Bay. It would take a lot to get them to drive into Melbourne for something. But this way we can reach everybody countywide. So if you're watching this, we appreciate you. And we appreciate you, Cooper. So I want to come back and talk about what we're here to talk about today, which is case management and caregiving. What to know. This is a good preview of where we're going with the Caregivers Workshop, because in the Caregivers Workshop, a lot of times you find yourself getting thrown into a situation and it just progresses, right? It gets more serious by the day and more complicated to sort out. And everybody is yelling at you all the time about the decisions. The doctors come and say, what do you want to do with your loved one? We think it should be this, and you don't know if it's right or not. And you're just kind of being pushed around by the waves. And when you get a hold of somebody like Danica, who understands, and I always go like, we were talking about this on the radio yesterday with Jennifer. I said, when you do this as a caregiver, this is like your first rodeo. Most of us have not been in that situation until we're in that situation. This is absolutely not Danica's first rodeo. She has been thrown into every kind of situation you can imagine. And it sure is comforting when you have somebody that really knows they know how to speak the lingo, they understand what's going on, they can be realistic in their assessments and suggestions, they can tell you what's going to waste your time or money and what's not going to, and the value that somebody like that can provide when you're in those narrow situations is so, so important. So without further ado, let me turn the microphone over to Danica. Round of applause for Danica. Thanks, Danica, for being here.
Hello, everybody. As Kerry said, my name is Danica Scuderi-Carluccio. I'm the owner of Advocates for the Aging. I have been a geriatric case manager for 32 years, a professional guardian for 21 years, and I absolutely love what I do, and I feel that everybody needs to know about case management because we are the opportunity, the team that gives you the opportunity to know a lot about healthcare, how to manage your personal care plan or your loved ones. Today's talk is about case management and caregiving services, what you need to know. Families are usually surprised to learn that case management and caregiving are different services. Understanding the difference can really help formulate a great care plan for you or your loved one and provide a better quality of life. So let's get right into it. What is caregiving? Caregiving is where you do hands-on. You are hands-on service with the loved one, meaning bathing and personal hygiene, dressing and grooming, meal preparation and feeding assistance, medication reminders, light housekeeping, laundry, transportation, errands, companionship, and social engagement, which is very important as we age, and mobility assistance and fall prevention. Having a caregiver or caregiving services in your home is a really great way of staying at home, staying where you want to be, and getting that assistance, because we all need assistance in all parts of our life, from infancy to the very end. We all need somebody to help us out. We need that community for care. So as we segue into what is case management, we as case managers, we provide that professional oversight, the coordination, and advocacy that as you age or your family ages, you're going to need somebody to get out there and advocate for you in this ever-changing, fluid world of elder care and resources. A case manager serves as the quarterback of the team. And I was told this by my son, who used this analogy, because you're kind of like a quarterback in football. Like, okay, gotta explain that to me. He goes, well, Mom, you take the situation like we take the ball and you run with it. I'm like, okay, I'll accept it. So we're the quarterbacks of your care. We help navigate your healthcare system, meaning we coordinate your physician appointments, your specialists. We get you in where they tell you 6 weeks. Sometimes we can get you in 2. Attending appointments, we do that. We attend the appointments, so we are your ears, and we can hear the things that sometimes as physicians are speaking with us and we're getting a new diagnosis we're not familiar with, we hear wah, 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 wah. And really, you walk out of there going, what did he say? We are those ears for you and can say, this is what the diagnosis was. This is how we can help. These are the next steps. So we're that important component that helps kind of bring everything together when you're in that what the heck just happened moment. We facilitate a lot of the communication between your family that may be out of state, your physicians, the hospital, you. We make sure everybody's on the same page and the care you need. As case managers, we also assess. We look at, hey, what's your care plan going to look like now as you age? So we evaluate your physical, emotional, cognitive abilities, your safety needs, and we develop individual plans to make sure that if you want to be at home as long as possible, we're going to try to do that. We're going to think out of the box to make sure no matter what happens, we can try to meet your goal. And everybody wants to stay home. Although some people do say, hey, I think an assisted living will be fun because, or an independent living, because there's socialization there. There's opportunities for travel, for learning new things, gaining new friendships. So we always assist in whatever care plan you want or managing your life the way you want it to be, but with quality first. We help with medication oversights. If you or your loved one have a lot of medications, I know none of you do, right? If you have more than a few medications, it gets quite cumbersome sometimes when the doctor says, well, take this BID, take this TID, take this QD, and you're like, what is all this? We can assist you not only with understanding the lingo, but we can manage the medication boxes, make sure that you have those proper doses, which are very important for all of us, to maintain the medications appropriately. In crisis, caregivers and care managers work in unison in crisis. As a case manager, I may have a client that has fallen at home. They've been independent up to the fall. And now they're in the hospital and they have a broken hip. We transition them to rehab, as you want rehab because you want to get stronger and get back home, right? But what we're going to say is, hey, you're going home in 2 weeks. Let's get a caregiver in there because you're going to need some assistance, working that new hip. And there may be some things in your home that you're not able to manage anymore. The caregiver, we'll contact the caregiver. We'll give them a summation of what's going on with your life and where you were prior to that broken hip. That caregiver will come in the home with you and work among your environment and your family to make sure that you still have as much autonomy as possible, but the help you need while you're recovering. And some people, unfortunately, will need a caregiver for a long time, depending on what their crisis was. But care management and caregivers work collectively together to make sure that we can keep you home or safe, not or, and. Why would families benefit from both case management and caregivers? So a caregiver, like I said, offers daily assistance in the home, running your errands, doing whatever you need. While a case manager provides professional guidance with all the entities involved in your life, the physicians, the caregivers, the home health care, the housekeeper, the lawn man. We coordinate everything that you may not be able to do anymore or you don't want to do. And personally, I can't wait till I get to the point where I can go and delegate half of the things that I don't want to do. So this is your opportunity. A case manager can help you with those things. So a caregiver, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of an outline to understand, again, just summation, caregiver. They help with daily activities, provide companionship, assist with meals and hygiene. They can shop for you. They can meal prep whatever you need. Hands-on support. They provide transportation. I recently had a gentleman say to me, look, I can drive around my perimeter. I know Indialantic. I can go to Publix. I can go, to Fifth Avenue at the restaurants, but I don't want to go to mainland anymore. I get a little nervous, especially if I have to go to Vieira. Forget about it. The divulging diamond and the roundabout, people are crazy. So a caregiver comes to pick him up whenever he has appointments or the need to go to those places. And he's happy, they're happy, and he gets his socialization and to go where he needs to be without limiting him. Caregivers also provide family respite. So if you have a loved one that you're caring for all the time, and you need a little bit of a break, we all did. If you had children, it was wonderful when the grandparents came and took your kids away and you could just, So sometimes we all need a break. And in this situation, a caregiver can come in and relieve your loved one. Maybe they want to go on a weekend cruise, or maybe they just want to shop, get some, therapy in there. They'll relieve them for 4, 6, 8 hours, even overnight, weekends. So they're an important component to remember as you age or as your loved one ages, so you have that opportunity for a little bit of a break also. The care managers, like myself, as I said, we coordinate the entire plan. Anything that you throw at us, and I mean anything, we've seen it all. We coordinate. We make sure that we can get you through whatever challenge or request you have smoothly. We advocate for you. If you've been in the hospital and you're like, I don't want to go to that facility, I want to go to this facility, or I want to go home, we're in there and we're listening to you. And if it's appropriate for you to go home, we're going to advocate for that. If it's appropriate for you to go to a nursing rehab facility, we're going to tell you why the doctors are saying that. But we're also going to get you the one you want, or the best one out there. We attend medical appointments again, so we hear what you may not. monitor your health care, your needs. We help you manipulate that wonderful portal that's now in every doctor's office. And if you don't have a smartphone, or if you have a smartphone, sometimes you want to throw it across the room because you can't log in or you haven't checked in on your smartphone. We help you out with that as well. We connect families and yourself with resources out there. We make sure that you have what you need. Sometimes families will call us with one quick question, but that question may lead into others. And by the end of our call, they have a ton of information that they can use to better serve their loved one. So we have a plethora of resources that we utilize and we plug into your life to make sure that you're going to go in a positive direction. And we help avoid a crisis. We cannot always prevent the crisis because we have some very, very strong-willed seniors out there. But we can surely help you if that crisis occurs. For example, we had a 90-year-old military man, love him. He wanted to get up and clean out his own gutters. And we said, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that. You know, you're 90. I can do it. Well, we know you can do it. But don't you want to direct a younger person to get up there and do it? No, I can do it. Please don't. We removed his ladder. The ingenuitive man walked 2 doors down, asked his young neighbor for a ladder. The young neighbor got his ladder, put it up for him, and our 90-year-old sweet little determined man went up there to clean his gutters. Oh, I would say about 10 minutes later, he was on his back, on the ground, and not by choice. That crisis could have been averted because we talked to him. But sometimes, you know, we're all a little stubborn. I'm Italian, I know it. So we had to help him in a crisis to manage his care. Thank God. Well, he could have broken nothing, but he's 90, so he broke his femur. We helped him out. We got him rehab, you know, everything he needed, and he's back home with a caregiver to make sure he doesn't get any more ladders. Because I know he didn't learn his lesson because he's that stubborn. But, you know, these are the things that we try to prevent, but sometimes we can't. We can educate you. As we all age, a lot of us think, and I can say this now because I've had a couple of health crises where I've gone, oh, me? No, I can do this. And I had to tell my husband, you know, I can't do that. Can you please get me the walker? So I can relate. I had to use a walker for a back injury. I had to use many other adaptive equipment during my back injury recovery. And it's hard. It's hard to say, I need help. But the lesson is we all need help. We all need help at one point in our life. And honest to God, it's better to say I need it than to be stubborn and have a consequence you don't want. So use a caregiver. If you feel that you need something, use a case management company. Even if you don't need them now, vet them. Vet them for later and have them in your back pocket so that you can say, okay, I don't understand what's going on now. I've got a new diagnosis, new treatment, new this, new that. I need some guidance. We're already going to be there for you. You already know what case management company that you want to use to help you through your journey. So it's never too late or early to vet caregivers, to vet case management companies. And we have some great companies, both in case management and in caregiving agencies in Brevard County. We're pretty lucky. We have a lot of choices and diverse choices as well. So think about your care plan. Think about your aging. Think about the what if. Even if the what if doesn't happen, you've thought about it and you have options to reach out to even in crisis. Any questions for me? Yes, ma'am. Okay, good question. She asked about Funding. How are these services paid? Caregiving agencies. So there's caregiving. We talked about the hands-on today, but there's also like seniors helping seniors. They're not hands-on. They don't do the hands-on stuff with the person, but they do laundry, companionship, socialization, meal prep, things like that. Agencies like that, and I'm not quoting direct prices, are around $30 to $34 an hour. Typically, every agency has a minimum of 4 hours. But again, if you have a case manager, we give people a lot of business and we can help negotiate some of the prices for you. Now, caregiving, the hands-on component, you're looking at $32 to $36 an hour. And it, again, 2-hour minimum sometimes, mostly 4 hours or more. It can be 1 day a week. It can be 7 days a week. Care management. Care management ranges. Now, if you hear care or case management, they're the same thing. Essentially, you have to say and ask, you have to ask, are you a full-blown concierge case management? Or are you case management light? Meaning they may help make a doctor's appointment or get transportation, but they're not doing the whole gamut. Those costs could be $30 to $50 an hour. So case management light, that is not us. We don't go light anywhere. We want to make sure when we're doing 100% for our clients. We are $95 an hour. Case management does go up to $150 an hour in Brevard County. Some people charge overtime, after hours. You really have to vet and see who you like. You have to like the team, the personality, because you're with them. They're going to know everything about you and they want to help you. So you're going to want to know whether you like the agency you're working with. So the costs are typically private pay. However, if you have a long-term care policy for both caregiving and case management, they can be covered with some policies. There's also, if you have Medicaid, which is very exciting to learn this, some of the programs offer X amount of hours for caregiving and X amount of transportation opportunities. So make sure if you have Medicaid, you check with your case management through Medicaid. That's case management light. They'll give you the resources that you'll need for the caregiver or the transportation. Did I answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I do have a flyer and some cards over there if you didn't get one. And thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Danica. Stand there for just a second because I wanted to point something out. It's like, when you get good help, it sounds like you're spending money that maybe you don't feel like you have with everything else that is going on. But one of the things that it doesn't matter if it's an attorney and they're quoting their hourly rate or like a case manager quoting their hourly rate, you say, oh my gosh, I got all these medical bills and then I'm going to have to try to figure out how to do this on top of it. But I don't think that we often appreciate how much money you end up saving because you know what is needed and what can be bypassed in a particular case. And also you kind of understand the going rates for different things. So you are in a position to negotiate on behalf of the client. Like, Mr. Johnson needs this. So now you can look at all the people that you have worked with and say, this is the right fit for him. And I'm going to be able to get this best financial arrangement to make it work for everybody.
That's true. And we do have a lot of negotiation opportunities because, well, one, particularly our company has been around since 2008, my company, and they all know us. So when we call, we say, hey, can you give somebody a break when they're moving in to an assisted living? Can we look at that community fee? Can we, like I said earlier, someone needs a neurologist and the appointments are 6 weeks out when you call, we can call and say, please, this person needs help. We can get you in a particular place maybe 3 weeks earlier. So it is in the resources, you know. I was at a friend's the other day, and it was funny. He was explaining his career to me. And he is a jeweler. And he said when he went in and he went for one of these classes that were very expensive, he said to the teacher, why am I spending so much money for 6 months of school? And the professor looked at him, and I thought this was great. He looked at him and said, you're taking my 35 years of experience that I went through, the hard knocks, all the mistakes, and had to learn on my own. I put that in a program in 6 months for you to learn. So you've really saved time and money. And that analogy can come over to pretty much case management and caregiving. We have the experience. So our experience can help navigate you into a streamlined, more efficient, cost-effective plan. So yes, we can streamline those costs over time. You do save a lot.
Yeah, and that's the thing I wanted to kind of get at is a lot of times I know I'm a bargain hunter, so I'm always like trying to figure out the cheapest way to get something done. And as a nonprofit, I would advocate that's a good thing. But sometimes you can be too cheap and you do the wrong thing, and it ends up costing more than it needed to because you didn't really know what you were trying. The question asked, like I just was thinking back to our own personal experience when we were caregivers for our mothers, and the doctors would come at us and ask us like these. Well, of course you want to do this, and then you feel stupid if you go, well, yeah, anything other than, well, yeah, sure, but we don't know necessarily. We don't have enough background to know if that was actually what needed to be done at the time. And this is, again, where that value of experience makes it different. We talk so much, Danica, you know this, Joe, who founded Helping Seniors, he always talked about you got to have an aging plan. And we talk about those 7 pillars in there. We call it getting your ducks in a row, but it's still the same principle. But one of the things that we always talk about is don't try this on your own. Get a hold of somebody that this is not their first rodeo. So that was a question I wanted before we take a break. I wanted to ask you, when should somebody call you? At what point in their process do you want to hear from them and say, let's have a conversation and see if I can help you?
I think with anything in healthcare, earlier is better. Like I said before, you want to vet the person, and it's hard to find someone in crisis because you're grappling. You're just pulling whoever seems the closest that's going to give you that answer. You want the power to vet the person that's going to help you. So the earlier you plan, the better. So when should they have called me? Yesterday. Yesterday. And vet me, and vet the other companies out there. So you know that you're getting what you need or what you don't know you need yet. We have the experience to be able to navigate that situation.
And what I've really noticed about particularly the people that participate and help us in the work we try to do in helping seniors, these are people, they have a business to run, but they're doing it from the heart. So I have never heard anybody that we've been connected to say, no, don't call us until you're ready to spend money. What I've heard, like I'm thinking about people like Denise Bergman, Senior Care Authority. She's like, call me well before you, just even when it's an inkling. Let's get the conversation started back then. Jennifer, same thing. She says, like, I want families to call us. Everybody's great at crisis response, right? These guys are all super pro. They've done this. But when you call them in the middle of a crisis, as good as they are, their options are going to be way more limited. And the costs are probably going to be higher because now everything's being done in an emergency mode. And you're stressed out while you're trying to ask them for the help. But if you could back that conversation up, that's why the plan is so important.
It is. And I describe, when I or my team get a new case, and I say case because it could be guardianship or it could be case management. When we get a new case, our goal is to know everything we can, the nitty gritty. When we get a situation and then a case in crisis, we don't have that solid foundation to look back on and say, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good. For example, if a hospital calls me and someone doesn't have their estate planning, they have no family, and they say, hey, we have a client in the hospital who had a crisis. We need an advocate for them. Can you be their guardian? Well, of course, tell me a little bit about them. I hear what the hospital tells me, and then I'm guardian. So it's like I just got a 1,000-piece puzzle thrown. Pieces are all over the floor, and I have no box. And in crisis, when you're putting that puzzle together, it's a hard road because you don't know anything. You don't even know what the picture is. That's why you have to plan ahead, because you want someone to know the picture on the box. You want someone to know that, you've had 5 heart attacks. This is, you want someone to know you've got a pacemaker or you've got this or that, and hardware that you can't have an MRI. These are the things why you have to think ahead. It's important you think ahead. Answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. And I was going to I want to kind of close with this. I was thinking, we were talking about Danica on the radio yesterday, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors. And she goes, I love Danica because I can throw her my really tough cases, because she's the first rung coming in. She's what they call companion care. She hires seniors to help seniors with things like light housekeeping, maybe getting to doctor's offices, maybe meal planning, some things like that. She's got a whole lot of range. Sometimes it's just, hey, somebody should take Aunt Sue out for a good afternoon, or whatever the things are. Those are the kind of things. But she goes, we often, because we're the first rung, when things get a little bit more serious, then we're called in. And she goes, sometimes we get these really complicated cases. I called Danica, and she was so funny because she said this on the air. She goes, one day I called over with another. She goes, I'm sorry, this is going to be a tough one. And Danica interrupts her and goes, I do easy cases too.
Don't often get them, but we do them.
Yes. But I said, but that's what really sets you apart, is that you are able to manage those. Like everybody else is kind of, even the other professionals are throwing their hands up in the air going like, okay, we need help. And they call you. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Round of applause for Danica. And round of applause for Hal, who managed our very first in history of helping seniors live stream for Knowledge College for Aging. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to come back and welcome Jerry Hadlock to talk to us about Medicare insurance, one of those important things on your aging plan. So we'll see you in just a few minutes.